Hey, ooh, hi. What are you doing there? Nick Digilio here. That's me. I am. I'm alone. There's nobody else. I don't know what the fuck we. Maybe I've lost my mind. I think I have. Anyway, I am doing all these videos, posting one a day throughout the greatest month of all time, and that's October. I'm doing 31 videos and concentrating on one horror movie a day so that you can watch 31 horror movies throughout the month of October. You should watch more than 31. You should probably watch about 200 horror movies during this month. I mean, you should watch a horror movie a day every day of the year and every month of the year because it's the greatest genre of all time. But for this month, for October, I'm doing a video a day. What I did was I grabbed a whole bunch of DVDs slash Blu-rays, whatever I had in my closet, grabbed a bunch of them, mixed them all up, and kind of threw them next to the coffee table here. And I'm reaching in and grabbing one randomly a day. So we're on number 4 right now. So this is movie number 4. Got to get my plugs in. Patreon.com/NickD Show. Donate right now. It helps out. Everything I do is free, and I provide it to you. If you go to Patreon, you can get some bonus material and all that stuff. You can donate as little as $3 a month. So please, please give. Patreon.com/NickD Show. Check out my podcast, the Nick D Podcast, also free. Every Tuesday, every Friday, you can do that. And that's radiomisfits.com, or you can just Google the Nick D Podcast. Check it out. Live version of the Nick D Podcast. I want everybody to come out. Let's pack the place. Zanies in Rosemont. Me and Esmeralda will be on stage on Tuesday, November 15th. We're giving away prizes to the audience, having great interaction with you guys, surprise guests, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be fun. You need to be there live, so buy your tickets now at rosemont.zanies.com. Get your tickets now. Tuesday, November 15th will be the live Nick D Podcast. All right. So let's get into it. Number 4. Again, I'm randomly grabbing DVDs slash Blu-rays out of my closet. They're all horror movies, and this is the next one. Number 4. Oh, baby. Yeah. Yeah, man. American Werewolf in London. American Werewolf in London. A classic. It goes without saying. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. A big one when I was in high school. This movie came out summer of 1981, which would have made me 16. Perfect age to see this movie. John Landis at that point had only been known as a comedy director and directed some classic stuff. He directed Kentucky Fried Movie. He did Animal House, of course, which goes without saying. And at that point, he was just coming off the Blues Brothers the summer before. And Landis was known for his comedic chops. But he was a horror fanatic, still is a horror fanatic. Another guy I've interviewed on my show. Fantastic. I've had Landis on my show a couple times. Fantastic interview. This guy knows his horror movies and grew up watching, the Hammer stuff and the horror movies of the great movies of yore, and always wanted to make a horror movie. And at that time, John Landis making a horror movie would kind of be like now if like the Farrelly brothers decided they were going to do horror. Well, I mean, Peter Farrelly just made the greatest beer run ever, which is kind of a horror movie. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's a guy that's like, wait a minute, how John Landis is going to make a horror movie? And it was great. But it was also really funny. It was one of those movies that, like the kind of stuff that Edgar Wright does. Edgar Wright, and I'm sure we'll get to one of Edgar Wright's movies a little bit later, maybe. I don't know. It's random. I don't know. It's on random. Look at that. You see that? It's on random. That's a line from... You don't know. That's a line from Shaun of the Dead. If you don't know that, I can't be your friend. But anyway, so randomly at some point I'll talk about Edgar Wright, I'm sure. But anyway, this is a movie that was inspired by the kind of stuff that Landis watched when he was a kid. The Hammer movies, the classic Universal movies. His favorite movie monster of all time is the Wolfman, the werewolves, and all that stuff. And he added that snarky, juvenile, adult humor to the movie. And it's about two college guys who are going through Europe. And one night they're walking through the moors in England. They stop in a pub. Everybody in the pub warns them, get the fuck out of here, blah, blah, blah. We don't want you here. And as they're walking through, they get attacked by a creature, a giant werewolf, kills Griffin Dunn, demolishes him, rips him apart, and attacks David Naughton, bites him. He goes to the hospital, and then turns out that he's a werewolf, and he will change during the full moon. He'll change into a giant werewolf creature and go out and kill people. And it's about his relationship with this nurse, hot nurse, played by Jenny Agutter, who I was 16 when I saw the movie. Don't even talk to me about how many times I rewound and freeze-framed stuff in this movie. Jenny, nurse, helped me through puberty. Let me just say that. But anyway, has a relationship with this nurse, and then he gets visited by Griffin Dunn, who was murdered and killed by the creature, and he keeps showing up more decomposed. He's dead. His body has been mauled. So he shows up. First time he shows up, he's got his faces have been scratched apart, blood, guts hanging out. He's got one piece of skin that's dangling like this. Always drives me crazy every time I watch the movie. Rick Baker did the makeup effects, the gore effects, and the transformation. This movie has one of the greatest horror transformation, werewolf transformation scenes of all time. Came out the same year as the Howling, which I like. I like this movie more, but I like the effects and the transformation scene in The Howling more than I do in this. I know a lot of people that disagree. I thought Rob Bottin's transformation sequence and makeup effects in The Howling were much cooler and creepier and more awesome than what Rick Baker did here. Rick Baker won an Academy Award for this, but anyway. I mean, it's legendary, but that was at the time when everybody had to have, in the 80s, everybody had to have like transformation scenes in their movies. Like it was like the whole latex, the bubbling, the jaws stretching out and all kinds of crazy shit. The stuff that would be, the height of which would be in John Carpenter's The Thing, where Rob Bottin would reach the height of the practical transformation, gore, goo, latex effects. Nobody has ever even touched it. But so Bottin was doing stuff, and Rick Baker was doing stuff, and Stan Winston was doing Dick Smith, and all these legendary dudes, Carl Beichler, all these guys were doing their makeup effects, and Rick Baker did amazing effects for this movie. It's funny, it's scary as hell. There is a nightmare scene in this movie involving Nazi creatures that show up with submachine guns and wipe out all of David Naughton's family in a nightmare scene. They slice his neck, and then they're dressed up like Nazis in stormtrooper uniforms, and they set fire to the house, and they kill his whole family. And that's just a dream scene in the movie. It also has like the fake dream that they do like 3 times in the movie. One of the first times anybody's ever done that, where you've seen a bunch of movies where like somebody's having this horrible, and then they wake up, oh, it's just a nightmare. You've seen that. That's in 8,000 movies and 8 million horror movies. The whole fake out, it's just a dream thing. Well, I remember this being one of the first movies where they did the fake dream into a fake dream into a fake dream. Where like Landis does it like 3 times in a row, where it's like the shit gets crazy and and he wakes up in the hospital and everything is okay, but then like Jenny Agutter comes in and opens up the curtain and a Nazi monster comes out and kills her, and then oh my god, what the fuck, and then he wakes up so it's like 3 oh my god, it's just a dream in a row, where Landis fools you into thinking he just woke up from a bad dream, but it's actually still another bad dream, and that's Anyway, so it's funny, it's sexy, Jenny Agutter. David Naughton does not sing the Dr. Pepper song in it, unfortunately. He does not sing I'm a Pepper, You're a Pepper. And Griffin Dunn would go on to direct movies. He would direct not very good ones, like Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock. Nicole Kidman, I believe, is in that movie, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It's a stupid-ass movie. But he also appeared in a movie with Madonna. He was in Who's That Girl? But anyway, this is a classic, an absolute classic. American Werewolf in London. Pop this one in for classic 80s horror, classic 80s, latex practical makeup effects and transformation. It's funny, it's classic. And there is a scene in the movie where the werewolf is stalking a dude in the tube, the subway in London. There's a shot that's taken from the top of a long escalator down that leads into the subway, where the creature crawls into frame. The monster, the werewolf, crawls into frame, and it's my favorite shot in the whole movie. It's actually, for me, the scariest thing in the whole movie is that shot above the escalator, looking down into the subway, into the tube, where you see the werewolf kind of creep into frame. My favorite shot in the whole movie. So funny, awesome, groundbreaking effects. Motherfucking John Landis. An absolute classic. And again, I was 16 when it came out in the summer of 1981. Saw it in the theater a bunch of times. I was the perfect age, at the perfect time, and the perfect fan of horror to see this movie. So this is one of my favorites of all time. So there you go. Number four of the horror movies. So there you go. That's your number 4. It's October 4th, and I got more to come every day for the entire month of October. I'll be posting these videos telling you which horror movies that you should watch randomly in October. So enjoy Halloween.